Okay, we're here with giggly Robb Sapp. Ready?
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. So we're here with Robb Sapp, who has numerous Broadway and off-Broadway credits to his resume.
That's so kind of you, thank you.
Well, you do, right? I've seen most of your shows. So thank you so much for sitting down with us to discuss your biography as it is.
Oh my God, it sounds so fancy.
It does, it's like inside the actor's studio. And also your advice to people who are just starting out. So why don't you talk about your start and when you became famous?
No. Okay, all right. No, I didn't become famous. Well, I started off going to college for musical theater. I actually got my BFA in musical theater. I didn't, for those of you who don't know that you can do that, you can actually get a degree doing theater, musical theater, in fact, and that's what I got mine in. I went to Syracuse University. I did the 4-year college thing, and then moved to New York and got my equity card somewhat right away. I worked at a summer job first. I did Music Theater of Wichita, which if any of you ever have a chance to audition for that theater, run, don't walk, because it's a fantastic place to work. And so that's what I did. I went right from college to Music Theater of Wichita, and then came to New York. And from a mixture of leads from my showcase, along with sort of leads from personal contacts and mentors in the city, I was able to sign with an agency. And it's kind of hazy. I'm trying to remember it all. And then I got my equity card doing the workshop of Spring Awakening when it was still at the Roundabout, actually. And from there, I was doing the workshop when I got an appointment to audition for the national tour of Saturday Night Fever. Mm-hmm. Everybody put your fingers in the air. Yeah, or was it this one? It was this one, actually.
That one was framed better. Stick with that.
That one was better?
That was framed better.
So yeah, I got my equity card and then immediately went on the road, which was a blast. And then from there, I went to an audition for a show that I had only at that point seen a small reading of that actually starred Matthew Morrison at the time. And that was for a show called Zanna, which I... well, let's see. I auditioned for an off-Broadway production of it. Or I don't even know if it was an off-Broadway production. I think at the time it was just another reading. And it snowballed into this awesome production that landed at the John Houseman. And that kind of I feel like that sort of kicked me off in New York. That was sort of like my first big thing, my first cast recording, my first long run. I mean, it was a modest run, but it was the longest run in New York of anything I had done at the time.
With a devoted fan base.
Yeah, but we were so supported. Yeah. I mean, that's what kept the show, I think has kept it around this long, is the loyalty of the fans who came out to see it and were touched by it. So Zanna, what came after Zanna? Then I did another off-Broadway show, Johnny Guitar, which similar to Zanna, was a shorter run, but got to do the cast recording and all that, and just sort of helped, I think, get my name out there a little bit more, and then soon after that, auditioned for Wicked, and went into the Broadway company of Wicked for 2 years, which was an awesome experience. And I went in the ensemble, and I took over for Bach soon after. And I'm trying to think of what came. Do you really want me to just go through everything like this?
Yeah, I mean, after Bach, then.
After Bach, then after Bach, I didn't take a purposeful break, but there was a little bit of breathing room because I was starting my company at the time, and so I sort of became particular about what sort of projects I thought would be worth losing my mind over, because I knew if I was going to be starting a company and doing theater, that I was going to be burning the candle, at both ends.
Right.
So there was some time in there where, I would do a workshop or I would do a reading, but I wasn't, taking every, opportunity to say, go out of town. But I did get to do this one really cool out of town project. I worked on, Lucy Simon wrote an musical adaptation of Dr. Zhivago. And I worked on that. I got to go to London, which was very cool. And after I came back from that, I started working at the Muni. Did a couple summers with the Muni. And then from there, went into Shrek and took over for John Tartaglia for 4 months. And then soon after that, went into The Lion King.
Cool. Yeah, you've been in a couple of, non-popular, crappy little shows, right?
All been awesome. But in between there, I actually got to have a check off the bucket list theatrical moment where I worked on a new show called Happiness at Lincoln Center that was directed and choreographed by Susan Stroman, and that was amazing because I got to do the workshop of that, and then I got to do the production as well, and to just be involved in something with so many creative geniuses, and then B, to sort of be a part of that. It wasn't replacing somebody, but it was actually getting to create the actual track in the show and have things tailored specifically to my strengths was quite an awesome experience.
And speaking of awesome, your other business is called Dirty Sugar Photography.
Yeah.
I've seen your photos. They're, as a photo editor of a magazine, they're gorgeous, gorgeous photos. What made you go in that direction? Has photography always been another passion? I know actors have, in these videos have been saying it's very important to have a second outlet.
Yeah.
And it seems like you picked, obviously, a good one.
Well, thank you. It wasn't something that I picked, actually. It sort of picked me. I had never thought of myself as a photographer or known myself as a photographer until I was doing Wicked, and my best friend was doing Mamma Mia, and we sort of were just goofing around, with a camera, just being silly. Like, we weren't even trying to create imagery. We were just truly just being, stupid in the way that we would goof around in my basement growing up.
Right.
And some cast members started to see, see the stuff that we were doing, and said, "Hey, will you, I have this thing coming up. Will you shoot the pictures for it?" And we were like, "Sure." We didn't even have, an SLR camera at the time. We were just using a little point and shoot, and it just took. It just, certain things grab you, and it's undeniable when those things do grab you, and that's what this was. And it was an opportunity to, I feel like, not only gain perspective as an actor, but to also sort of hone and develop my skills as a director, which, again, I never really thought of myself as until I started doing this. And I was like, well, wait a minute. All of a sudden, I have to sort of shift my perspective and create a story and help people tell a story and specifically do it. And that really spoke to me. And so, the photography just sort of naturally started to take off as I started to discover more and more about myself as, I guess as a director. It's weird to say it, but that's really truly what I feel like I am when I'm behind the camera. And, our photos, we like that they're story driven and that there's something more than just a person in a frame, but that there's actually, the opportunity to incorporate point of view and, and almost, we always like to create a little scenario or a plot. So it's all the same sort of pieces and components that I've that I'm familiar with as an actor, but rearranged.
Yeah.
And you know, that challenge keeps things fresh for me. When I'm on stage, you know, and then when I'm on stage, I find that informs my work in the studio, and I like it. I've got this, you know, I feel like a nice little synergetic cycle going, and it's allowed me the opportunity to work with people who I always wanted to work with, but I would have never fathomed I'd be working with them in that way, you know.
Now, what advice do you have for people who are just starting out? I mean, you've been in a number of successful shows. You have a killer voice.
Thank you.
So, you know, stay with voice lessons. You know, how do they? You know, what should they do in auditions? I mean, you probably have a wide range of advice that you can offer.
Yeah. I'm a big proponent of training. I think that's you know, training is a place where you can fall flat on your face, and there are no consequences. Or if there are consequences, you can learn from them and not feel like you blew an opportunity or you missed an opportunity. I get to, you know, because of things like Wicked and some of these like long-running shows where you get involved with organizations that bring you into the classroom to teach, I've discovered that that environment, similar to a rehearsal situation, that environment allows you to play and make discoveries and not necessarily feel like you have to arrive at a finished product. And sometimes that pressure is put on you when you're on stage or when you're on camera. And the opportunity to learn about yourself and learn about your abilities and your boundaries so you can push. It's getting rowdy out there.
Yeah, listen, they don't like your advice.
They're like, no!
They're rising up against your advice.
Dude, listen to what I have to say out there. It's very important. No, but just when you're training, you have the opportunity to learn what your boundaries are so you can push past those. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you're in a situation where you're getting paid or, you know, where the stakes are really high, taking that risk is a hard thing to do. I mean, and that's a part of it, but to have the safety of doing that in an environment where you are being guided, mm-hmm. or somebody at the end of that is going to say, that's great, like here, you know, here's an opportunity for you to take what you've just done and apply that to performing, is different than performing and applying that to performing. You know, you're able to let your guard down, I think, a little bit more. Mm-hmm. That being said, there's a value to coming. Nobody can teach you. Really, truly, nobody can teach you what you need to know to be in the business. It's something you just have to experience. Right. You know, they can hand you the tools and you can put them in your tool belt, but until you're actually, you know, pounding that, you know, that nail with the hammer, you don't know what that feels like and what it's going to take for you to actually, you know, hit the nail into the wood. Right. So, you know, I always say you have to train, but then you have to go out and experience too. You can't just train and not ever get out in the field. Mm-hmm. You know, so I say to somebody who wants to do this and is serious about doing this, train, but not so much that you're a professional student all the time. You know, give yourself the opportunity to apply what you've learned. Audition as much as possible, do workshops, do readings that pay nothing, because that's when you're going to learn about the industry. And you know, people may have a different experience, but that's, I feel like, where, you know, I'm sitting across from you at this table because, you know, I did a reading that I didn't even know what it was when I went in for it in the basement. You know, I auditioned in the basement of some theater company, right. You know, and I was like, what? I don't even know what this is, but I want to go, I want to have that opportunity, and I did it, and, you know, it turned out to be the beginning of, you know, something that people still ask me about,
Yeah.
find interesting. So
that's great. Thank you so much.